The glass walls of Harrington Industries' boardroom reflected a skyline that worshipped money, and Cordelia Kora Harrington had more of it than anyone in the room. 31. Ice-precise cobalt eyes that could pin a CFO to his chair. She slammed her palm on the mahogany and the crystal water trembled. "Say it again," she said. Board Chair Reginald Peaton, silver hair, smile like a paper cut, didn't blink. "Per your grandfather's bylaws, be married by your 32nd birthday, or control reverts to the board." A ripple of shocked whispers. Kora's jaw ticked once. "I built this company from a grieving estate into a market killer. You're quoting a museum rule." "It's binding," Peaton purred. "Tradition protects the brand." Across the table, Tamika Washington, CFO, Kora's lone ally, leaned in. "We can attack this in court." "No," Kora said, voice low and dangerous. "We'll end it today." She turned to Peaton. "Let's make it interesting. I'll be married in 6 months. If I am, you and every fossil who voted for this steps down. Immediately." The room inhaled. Peaton's smirk sharpened. "You'd marry anyone to keep your crown. I'd marry a stranger off the street to keep predators out of my house. Then I choose the groom." Silence fell like snow. Even Tamika's eyes widened. Kora held Peaton's stare, felt the old Harrington fire rise in her chest, and made the worst, bravest decision of her life. "I accept." Pens clicked. Lawyers shifted. Somewhere, a camera phone recorded history. 3 days later, Kora's chauffeured SUV rolled past bodegas and basketball courts toward a small brick building in the Bronx. The sign out front read Thorne Community Center. Children's finger-painted suns covered the windows. Laughter leaked through the doorframe like light. "This is a setup," Kora muttered. "Only if you let it be," Tamika said, squeezing her shoulder. "Breathe." The door burst open. A little girl, skin the color of warm cinnamon, 2 puffs tied with yellow ribbons, barreled straight into Kora's legs. Sorry. It's Art Day." "Destiny," a deep voice called. "Remember your walking feet." He appeared in the doorway like an answer and a problem at once. Tall, solid, paint on his t-shirt, wear on his jeans, a gentleness in his amber eyes that didn't match the forearms of a man who lifted more than boxes. He took in Kora's suit, her heels, her guarded jaw, and something behind his expression went careful. "I'm Jameson Thorne," he said, scooping the girl onto his hip. "I run the center." Kora blinked. This was Peaton's pick? Not a headline-hungry hedge fund, bro, but a single father with paint on his knuckles and a child that clung to him like gravity. "You've spoken to Mr. Peaton," Kora said evenly. "Yeah." The warmth drained from Jameson's eyes, leaving steel. "He funds our programs for 10 years if I participate in your arrangement." He set Destiny down. "Baby, story time." "Go on." When the child skipped inside, Jameson stepped closer, dropping his voice. "I don't know the game you're playing, Ms. Harrington. I do know this building keeps kids safe and my daughter breathing easier. So I'll do it. But we do it on my terms." Kora arched a brow. "Which are?" "You move in. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 4th floor walk-up. We act like a real family in front of Destiny. No headlines. No half-truths. She never feels like a prop. You hurt her. We're done. Deal costs me everything? I don't care." Kora felt the floor tilt. She'd expected angles, leverage, greed. Not a line in the sand drawn for a little girl with yellow ribbons. "Agreed," she heard herself say. "Then marry me quickly," Jameson replied. "Before either of us get smart." From inside, Destiny's voice floated out. "Daddy, is the pretty lady staying?" Kora looked past Jameson into a room full of paper suns and realized the bet had just stopped being a game. "Would you take that deal? Love or legacy? Tell me in 3 words below and keep watching. The next 5 minutes will change all 3 lives." The courthouse smelled like old paper and bad decisions. Kora stood in a plain white dress, her jaw set like marble. This wasn't love. This was strategy. Across the aisle, Jameson Thorne adjusted the cuffs of a borrowed Navy suit that fit him like it was tailored to his quiet strength. Beside him, Destiny, tiny yellow ribbons still in her hair, threw flower petals with chaotic joy. "You look like a princess, Miss Kora," she said proudly. "Are you going to be my new mommy?" The room froze. Even the judge hesitated. Kora knelt to Destiny's height. "I'll be your dad's wife, sweetheart. But if it's okay with you, maybe we can be friends first." Destiny beamed. "Okay, can you braid my hair?" "Daddy tries, but he's bad at it." Jameson's mortified face almost made Kora laugh, for the first time in months. Then came the words that sealed her fate. "You may kiss the bride." It was supposed to be formal, a transaction sealed with air. But when Jameson's lips touched hers, it wasn't paper meeting ink. It was fire meeting ice. A spark neither of them had prepared for. The click of cameras outside broke the moment. Reporters, pitons doing, no doubt, swarmed as they exited. "Ice Queen marries the Bronx dad." One shouted. Kora smiled for the flash. "Careful," she whispered. "You might melt." Later, at his apartment, reality hit her harder than the kiss had. 4th floor, no elevator, walls lined with children's drawings. One bathroom, no marble, no glass, no skyline, just home. Jameson pointed to the couch. "That's me. You get the bedroom." "My rules," Kora arched an eyebrow. "I can't take your bed." "You can. You're doing this for your company." "I'm doing it for my daughter. Let's keep the trade fair." Before she could argue, Destiny came running with a crayon drawing, 3 stick figures holding hands. "That's our family." Kora's throat went tight. "It's beautiful. Can I keep it?" Jameson's eyes hardened. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Make her think you care if you don't." She wanted to protest, but the truth was, she didn't know if she did yet. That night, as she lay in a bed that smelled faintly of paint and soap, she heard Jameson's voice through the thin wall, soft and low. "Mommy didn't leave you, baby. She got sick. But Miss Kora's here now," Destiny whispered. "She smells nice. I like her." "I know," Jameson said quietly. "Me too. Maybe." Kora turned toward the sound, eyes burning. For the first time, she wondered if the real gamble wasn't the company, but her heart. The morning sun hit like an accusation. Kora Harrington, billionaire, Harvard alum, Queen of Wall Street, was standing in a tiny Bronx kitchen wearing a wrinkled t-shirt and holding a frying pan like a weapon. "Cooking lessons weren't part of the contract," she muttered, glaring at the smoking eggs. From behind her, Jameson chuckled, low and warm. "Those poor things didn't even stand a chance." She shot him a look. "I don't fail." He leaned against the counter, arms crossed, that half-smile playing on his lips. Guess breakfast didn't get the memo. Before she could come up with a sharp retort, Destiny patted in wearing unicorn pajamas, rubbing her eyes. "Smells funny." "Go get dressed, sweetheart," Jameson said. "We'll grab something on the way to school." Kora's pride flared. "No, she's eating this," Destiny blinked. "Even the black part?" Jameson bit back a laugh. Kora sighed, dropped the spatula, and gave up. "Fine. Bagels it is." By noon, Kora was sitting cross-legged on the floor of the community center, her $1,000 slacks covered in glitter. Destiny's class was making dream boards, and somehow, Kora had been roped in. "You don't have to do this," Jameson said, watching from across the room. "I know," she replied, cutting out a magazine picture of a skyscraper. "That's why I am." He raised an eyebrow. "You don't make sense." "I'm aware." Destiny ran up with glue-sticky fingers. "Miss Kora, you can put this one." Kora looked down. It was a picture of a family. Mom, dad, and child holding hands in a park. The word home scrawled underneath in a child's handwriting. She swallowed hard. "Perfect," she said softly. That evening they fell into a rhythm, awkward but real. Destiny drew. Jameson cooked. Kora sat on the couch trying to work remotely, the Wi-Fi struggling against her company's firewalls. "I can't believe this," she muttered. "I used to run global acquisitions and now I'm fighting with an internet router." Jameson chuckled. "Welcome to the Bronx. I miss my office." "Maybe your office misses you." Kora looked up sharply. "What's that supposed to mean?" He shrugged, still stirring the pot. "Maybe the people there only liked you because they had to. Destiny likes you because you show up, even when you burn breakfast." The words hit her deeper than she expected. Show up. It had been years since anyone expected that from her. Not results, not profits, just presence. Later that night, Destiny had a nightmare. Kora heard the small whimper through the wall before Jameson could reach her. She went in, gently brushing the little girl's hair back. "Shh, it's okay," Kora whispered, humming the only lullaby she remembered from her own childhood. Destiny's breathing slowed, her tiny hand clutching Kora's. When Jameson appeared at the door, she looked up, finger to her lips. "She's fine now." He didn't speak, just nodded, eyes softening with something that looked dangerously close to admiration. As Kora slipped back into her room, she caught her reflection in the mirror. Barefoot, messy-haired, glowing faintly in the dim light. For the first time in her life, she didn't look like a CEO. She looked human. Now, a question for my viewers. Should Kora fight this growing connection, or fall further into the life she swore she'd never want? Write your thoughts in comment section. Now, back to our story. 3 months into the fake marriage, something had shifted. The city no longer felt like exile. The Bronx had become rhythm, noise, and heartbeat. And somehow, in that heartbeat, Kora had started to find herself, but her double life was catching up. At Harrington Industries, whispers had grown into wildfire. "Did you hear? She married some guy from the Bronx." Single dad, apparently. Probably a publicity stunt. "The Ice Queen melts." Please, every hallway echoed with judgment. Every smirk reminded her of Peyton's smug grin. So when the annual Harrington Charity Gala arrived, a night of cameras, champagne, and silent wars, Kora knew what she had to do. She had to prove them wrong. That night, Jameson stood in front of the mirror tugging at the bow tie of his rented tuxedo. Destiny sat cross-legged on the bed, watching him with sparkling eyes. "Daddy, you look like a prince. More like a nervous janitor pretending to be one," he said. Kora appeared in the doorway wearing emerald green silk that flowed like liquid light. For a heartbeat, Jameson forgot how to breathe. "You look," he cleared his throat. "You look like you belong on magazine covers. And you," she said softly, "look like someone who doesn't need to pretend." Destiny giggled. "Are you going to kiss now?" "Not tonight, Peanut," Jameson said quickly, though his heart wasn't so sure. The Waldorf ballroom shimmered with gold chandeliers and expensive lies. As they entered, conversation froze. Heads turned. A white billionaire CEO on the arm of a black single father. Tabloid heaven. Board members whispered behind champagne glasses. "Ah, the husband," one of them sneered. "Quite the Cinderella story," Jameson smiled politely. "More like Beauty and the Beast, except I'm the Beast." Kora nearly choked on her drink. Her mother, Vivian, approached. Elegant, sharp, dripping judgment. "So this is your husband?" she said, each word like a drop of acid. How quaint, Jameson held his ground. "Nice to meet you, ma'am." Vivian's smile didn't reach her eyes. "And your daughter? Mixed children must find it difficult in—" "Mother," Kora's voice cut through the room like glass. "Say another word about Destiny, and we leave. Now." Gasps rippled. Cameras flashed. Peyton appeared, grin oily and triumphant. "Trouble in paradise already?" "No trouble," Jameson said, wrapping an arm around Kora's waist. "Just setting boundaries with family." Peyton leaned closer. "A year is a long time to pretend, Mrs. Thorne." Kora met his eyes. "Who's pretending?" And before she could second-guess it, before logic could stop her, she turned and kissed Jameson. Not the polite courtroom kiss. This one was real, fierce, final. The room went silent. Jameson's pulse roared in his ears. Kora whispered against his lips, "You wanted proof, Reginald? There it is." She pulled back, head high, and walked away, leaving the man who'd challenged her speechless, and the man who'd married her completely undone. The next morning, Kora woke up to the sound of laughter echoing through the apartment. For a second, she didn't know where she was. Then the smell of pancakes hit her. Warm, buttery, real. Not hotel breakfast, not catered brunch. Home. She stepped into the kitchen to see Jameson flipping pancakes while Destiny stood on a chair beside him, face dusted with flour. When he looked up, his grin was effortless. "Morning, Mrs. Thorne. Made peace with your public scandal yet?" Kora rolled her eyes. "You mean the kiss that broke the internet?" He smirked. "You tell me." Her phone was buzzing on the counter. Headlines everywhere. Billionaire CEO locks lips with Bronx husband. Love or PR? The Ice Queen melts for a working-class hero. She scrolled past the chaos until she saw a message from her assistant. Board calling emergency meeting. Noon. Her stomach dropped. The company, her empire, was slipping from her fingers. By noon, she was back in the skyscraper that used to feel like her throne. Now it felt like a courtroom. Peyton sat at the end of the board table, chin resting on his steepled fingers. "Kora," he said smoothly, "your relationship has caused significant image confusion. Investors are nervous. A CEO must project stability." Kora straightened. "My marriage doesn't affect my leadership. On the contrary," he said, sliding a folder toward her, "it defines it. And if you can't control your personal narrative, perhaps the board should." It was a trap, the kind she used to set for others. She realized too late that he had waited for this. Waited for her to stumble. To look human. Jameson's voice echoed in her mind. "Maybe your office misses you." No, she wasn't going to lose everything to a vulture in a suit. She stood, calm but deadly. "If you want my seat, Reginald, you'll have to pry it from someone who actually earned it." She walked out before he could respond. Chin high, pulse hammering. That night, back home, she sat on the couch in silence. Jameson handed her a mug of tea. "Rough day. Peyton wants me gone." He nodded slowly. "And you're scared." She glared at him. "I don't do scared." He sat beside her. "You do now. And that's okay." His words hit something deep, something she'd buried years ago under ambition and armor. She took a shaky breath. "When my dad left, my mom said the only way to survive this world was to never need anyone. Ever." I believed her. Jameson looked at her, eyes soft. "Needing someone doesn't make you weak, Kora. It makes you alive." For a long moment, they just sat there. No words. Just the sound of destiny humming in her room. Then Kora whispered, "I think I'm starting to forget where the lie ends." Jameson reached over, fingers brushing hers. "Then maybe it's not a lie anymore." A week later, the city skyline looked like it was holding its breath. Kora stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of her office, staring at the storm clouds gathering over Manhattan. The news cycle hadn't slowed. Her marriage was trending, her leadership questioned, her reputation hanging by a thread. But beneath the chaos, something else was shifting, something she couldn't control. Every night she spent in that small Bronx apartment, every laugh destiny drew out of her, every quiet glance Jameson gave her, it was all becoming too real. Still, she told herself, focus. This was a deal. Nothing more. Then her phone buzzed. "A private number," she answered. Kora Harrington, a pause. Then Peyton's smug voice. "Check your email, Mrs. Thorne. I thought you might enjoy seeing tomorrow's headlines early." The line went dead. Her heart pounded as she opened her inbox. One email. No subject. One attachment. A photograph. Kora's stomach dropped. Her and Jameson, laughing together in the kitchen, Destiny asleep on the couch in the background. The photo was intimate, unguarded, too real. And under it, Paton's message. "Tell me, how will the board feel when they find out your marriage wasn't business after all?" She rushed home, panic threading through her calm facade. Jameson was fixing a broken drawer when she burst through the door. "We've been watched," she said breathlessly, showing him the photo. He studied it, jaw tightening. "Who took this?" "Peyton. He's threatening to leak it." Jameson's tone darkened. "So he's spying on my kid now?" Kora hesitated. "I'll handle it." "No," Jameson snapped, standing tall. "This is my family. You don't get to handle it alone anymore." The words stopped her cold. "My family." Before she could respond, Destiny walked in, rubbing her eyes. "Mommy Kora, are you mad?" Both adults froze. Kora knelt down. "No, sweetheart. Just tired," Destiny smiled sleepily. "Daddy says tired means you care too much." Kora looked up at Jameson, eyes glistening. "He's right." The next morning, Peyton called a press conference. Uninvited, of course. The ballroom buzzed with reporters, the air sharp with anticipation. Kora arrived first, composed but burning inside. Jameson stood just outside the camera's view, arms crossed, watching every move. Peyton took the stage, all false charm. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "we at Harrington Industries value integrity. But our CEO, it seems, values secrecy." He held up the photo. Gasps filled the room. "Proof," he said smoothly. that this so-called business marriage is—" He didn't finish, because Kora took the microphone from him mid-sentence. "Yes," she said calmly, "it's real. I didn't marry Jameson for business. I married him because I thought I needed control, but he taught me something better, truth. And the truth is, I'm proud of the man I married." The room went silent. From the back, Jameson stepped forward. "You want integrity?" he said, his voice steady. "Then maybe start by not stalking a child for a headline." Reporters turned. Flashbulbs erupted. Peyton stammered, You can't prove—" Kora raised her hand. "We already did. Security footage, timestamps, the works." And just like that, Peyton's smirk faltered. The story had flipped. The scandal became a symbol. The woman who once hid behind power had chosen honesty, and the world loved it. That night, back in their apartment, Kora sat on the couch beside Jameson, her hand resting gently on his. "So what happens now?" he asked quietly. She smiled. "Now? We stop pretending." The world finally stopped spinning. The storm that had threatened to ruin them had somehow cleared the air instead. For the first time since this strange, impossible marriage began, Kora Harrington wasn't hiding behind numbers or press statements or walls made of pride. The night after the press conference, she stood on the rooftop of their apartment building. The Bronx skyline flickered below, alive and loud but peaceful in its own way. Jameson joined her quietly, handing her a blanket. "You did good today," he said. She smiled faintly. "So did you. You turned a scandal into a rescue mission," he chuckled. "Didn't do it for the cameras." "I know," she whispered. A silence hung between them, soft, full, real. Then Kora turned to face him. "You know what's crazy? I thought I had everything figured out. My life, my company, my future. But somewhere between burnt eggs and bedtime stories, I forgot what I was even chasing." Jameson's gaze held hers. "Maybe you were chasing peace. You just didn't know what it looked like." She laughed quietly. "Turns out peace comes with a kid who hides crayons in my purse. And a man who can't tie a tie straight," he added. Her smile faded, replaced by something deeper. "I don't know where this ends, Jameson. Or what I'm supposed to do next." He stepped closer, his voice steady. "Then don't plan it. Just live it." Kora exhaled, a tear slipping down her cheek before she could stop it. He reached out and wiped it away. "Hey," he said softly, "even the strongest people get tired of fighting." She looked up at him, her eyes glimmering in the city light. "And what happens when they stop fighting? They start healing." Their lips met, not out of obligation, not for show, but because it finally made sense. Every moment, every lie, every challenge had led to this one truth. They weren't pretending anymore. The next morning, Destiny climbed onto the bed between them, holding a crooked crayon drawing. "Look," she said proudly, "it's us. Mommy, Kora, Daddy, and me." Kora laughed, tracing the tiny figures. "You made us perfect," Destiny grinned. "'Cause we are." Jameson winked. "Smart kid." Kora looked at both of them, the man she never expected and the little girl who'd stolen her heart. For the first time in her life, the future didn't scare her. She wasn't just the CEO who conquered Wall Street. She was the woman who finally found something worth losing everything for. 1 year later, the same boardroom that once echoed with tension was filled with stunned silence. Kora Harrington, now Kora Thorne, stood at the head of the table, confidence radiating off her like sunlight through glass. Behind her stood Jameson, solid and calm, and Destiny, clutching a folder of crayon drawings she insisted were important business papers. Peyton wasn't there. His resignation had been signed months ago, and his empire of manipulation had crumbled. "This," Kora said, placing her hands on the table, "is what real legacy looks like. Not control, not power, but impact." Tamika smiled proudly from the other end of the room. "Couldn't have said it better, boss." As the board applauded, Kora turned to Jameson. He mouthed, "You did it." She smiled. "We did it." That evening, back in the Bronx, laughter spilled from the windows of their modest brownstone. The smell of home-cooked food filled the air. Rice, mac and cheese, and something sweet baking in the oven. Destiny was helping set the table, humming off-key. Jameson poured 2 glasses of wine, handing one to Kora. "Remember when this was all fake?" he asked, teasing. Kora grinned. Best bad decision I ever made. He leaned in, kissing her forehead. Correction. Best bet we ever won. They toasted as the city buzzed outside, cars honking, kids playing, music drifting up from the street below. Kora looked around her home, at the photos on the wall, at the child who called her Mommy, at the man who saw her before anyone else did, and thought, this is what forever feels like. She'd lost a bet, but won everything. Hey family, what did you think of this love story? Do you believe love can break barriers, money, class, even pride? Drop your thoughts below, type love wins if you felt their story in your heart, and let's flood the comments with hope and unity. Don't forget to share this story to remind the world. Sometimes losing a bet means winning your life.